Can you tell me your name?
John Gilbert,
And John, where were you born and reared?
Scarna, Scarna County, Wexford. I was there till I was six years of age. I moved to another house, and then we were in Ballykilty. My mother got a cottage. My father died when I was 7. There was 2 brothers. They were younger. So there, and we lived. The family are still there.
And you worked in the pottery, didn't you?
Yes.
When did you start working in the pottery?
49, December 49, I think it was. Yeah. I started, travelled from Scarna. It was to be picked up by the lorry, the pottery lorry. And there would have been over 20 people on that lorry. It was a double seat in the middle, canvas cover on the lorry, and an open back, and just back to back sitting on the seat up there, and then a row up the side. And a special thing that used to happen on that lorry, the rosary was recited on the way home every day. Never was disturbed or anything. Everyone said the rosary on the way home every day. So I went then on to the. We were in the pottery, all weather, travelling all weather. Sometimes you'd be wet morning. Because I had half a mile to walk down. We used to meet what they called Scarna stores, and there was the shop that time was called What Says. And that was a man that used to say that, and that's stuck to it, and that's the history of that. A lovely man, gentleman.
So how old were you when you started in Arklow?
14. I was right away from school. I finished before I was 14 at school there, just because of being 14 in the January.
So there was a bus going out picking up people?
Just a lorry. There was actually 2 pottery lorries that travelled to Gorey to pick up, and then to pick up people on the way back on Inch and everywhere, Tinock. We were picking up people, and the most people would be in Gorey, and travelled on the lorries then.
And it was an open lorry, was it?
Well, the canvas top with the back of the open, the kind of half thing on the back, but everything was, and well, we had to be back by 8 o'clock for 8 o'clock every morning. In fact, we were always back a little before 8, if possible.
How many people were on the lorry?
Would have been 20 or more. I'd say it was 12. At most times there was a little over 20 people on it, because there was a double row up the middle and two a row up each side.
And 5-6 days a week?
5 days a week, yeah. Very, very seldom now I'd be working Saturdays or you wouldn't. That would be very rarely that would happen.
And what time would the bus pick or the lorry pick you up?
Yes, it would pick me up around 10 to 8 or that, around 10 to 8. So to get me in, because mine used to be the last stop before we get to the pottery.
And what time would you go home at?
We got home 5 o'clock. Yeah, I think it was 5 we finished at that time.
And 2 lorries.
There was 2 lorries, yeah. Yeah, John Morgan drove one, and Doug Dunbar drove the second one.
And what made you go to work in the factory?
Well, that was the place where most people were going, were getting jobs in it, and what happened was, how I come to go to the pottery was my mother went in to see the priest in Arklow, Canon Bean, and she had a few words and asked him, would he be able to get me a job in the pottery? And that's how I started. I got a push like that.
And were there many of your friends from out Kilgraney way working there? Neighbours?
No, it's not really, no. There was a girl from Castletown, alright. There wasn't, there was no one actually travelling on the lorries, like, you know. There was mostly Gory and that. Liver was the only one who was there, but she was in latter years now travelling a bit.
And what year again did you start?
49. I was 49. It's December 49. I was just left school.
And where did you go into? What department?
I went into the clay department and started with a man by the name of Georgie Grannon and a fella from Gorey, Eamon Dunn, started at the same time, and we were trained up. The training was very quick that time. One would be going what they call mould running, going with the moulds from the maker and bringing out and emptying the wear off the mould. And then the other would be batten out. What we're doing is grab a piece of clay, a hand, put it down on a block, the block spins, and you get it down to the thickness as a blade came down and spread it out, and you just lifted it up and rolled it on to the mould to be on a little shelf beside you. The maker take it and he'd pull his jigger down. There was a blade on it, and whatever you were making, whatever the sauce or plates or whatever, and the maker then would keep rubbing that, he'd get it down to the right, to that, and he had a little bit of tin, and hold it and take the edge of it, and that put it up on the shelf, and then goes on to a trolley and into a steam room when the trolley is full. And then that would be the other. The batter on was, some lads didn't want to do the batter on. I used to be doing a lot of it. The other fellas would sooner be going with the moulds and in and out. So that's the way I worked. Then you could be changed from maker to maker. And there is a photo going around about Jim Hurley, Lord of Mercy. And there's a little story about him. Jim, the girls in the apartment where they used to do the handling, putting handles on all different things down below us. But when they were going to the toilet, we would just say hello and all every day they'd be going. And Jim saying he got his eye on a girl. And he used to speak to her, but he never said anything. And just one day he asked me, would I ask a certain girl, would you go out with him? And as it is, I asked her, and she said she would, so I made arrangements where Jim could meet her at the bridge in Gorey, and the rest is history. He married her.
And what was her name?
Patricia Kavanagh or Patricia Doyle, but I think it was Patricia Kavanagh. A lovely girl. And that was the story of what happened.
And they met and fell in love on the pottery floor.
Pardon?
They fell in love on the pottery floor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did. Yeah. That was it. Jim and Patricia. Yeah.
And you were describing there your job. Were you a mould runner then? Was it?
That's right. That's what they called it. Mould runner. I was batting on, but at that time, I happened to be working. You could be switched around from maker to maker, but I was working with Jim Hurley that time. And then after that, then there was a fellow carrying all the boards now of the wear. There'd be 6-foot boards, and you carried them, but they had to be gently handled. But I think there could be up to 8 or 9 dozen of a saucers along a board. Then plates, bigger plates, or side plates and all that, really less. But there's a fella, be carrying them down to what they call the towers. And I was transferred to that when a fellow was leaving to go to England. And I worked on that then, carrying them, and I was carrying them to what they call the towers. There's a line of ladies, what they call, they used to take these and put them on a spinner. So each one would be doing just 7 or 8 towers, and a little bit of sandpaper to the edge of the plate from the spinning to smooth them, or if there was any blemish on the plate around there, rub it and then from that then Killman came and brought it on and placed it. And at that time when I started, the bottle kilns were in operation. They were and what they placed, put this wire into, was a big round earth thing, like a big bottle ladder. And they had to be very careful because this was just in clay. They filled that, and when they carried that on their head, the cap with a ring in under the cap, and they carried that onto the kiln. They used to be stacked then in the kilns. And when the kilns then were filled, they came along boxed up, and they were fired then by coal fire. But
coal fire in the old kilns were coal fire.
Became the old bottle kilns, there was several, I don't know, many fireplaces around, all around it. And the 24-hour day, there was manned that 24-hour day. And they were in there for so many hours in the kiln. And then when the hours would be up, it'd have to be opened up, all the rinsers be opened up and give them so long to cool off, and just be still hot when they were taken out. And then they'd go on then to be glazed or printed on or whatever.
But back to the pottery floor. they would carry it on their head, you were saying?
Yeah, they used to carry the board as well on their head. I don't know why, because when I was carrying on the band before me, we had a cushion on our shoulder. We put that on every day when we were carrying, and you just carried out like that. You'd be putting these onto stillages and all down, and then when the girls would want a board out and thaw it, you'd put it on stillages behind them, and they'd walk off of that.
And you were taking them, were they for the brisk firing? Or were they for the glaze firing?
Pardon?
Were they for the brisk firing, or the first firing, or the second firing?
These before any firing, they never came back went on to either glazing or printing on or whatever it was. But it was usually glazed and then be printed and then be glazed again.
And how much of a run would it be? How many feet would you be talking with the yoke on your shoulder or the yoke on your head?
How many feet?
Feet would it be?
To travel?
Yeah.
You could be travelling a long way down a long way, you know. It was because there was 7 acres that line, and then down into the towers. I was travelling a good distance with it, and so it's just we never glad about it, you kept going. It was always, of course, we were very young and full of energy, and no one ever complained. It just kept going. Sam, you just got a tea break in the morning, 10 o'clock, quick tea break. Then now we were on flat plate. The fellas, the maker was on a piecework. He had to make his wages. But we were on a flat rate. And I started on £1.26 a week. That was my wage. My mother got £1 and I got 2.6.
That seemed to be a big thing too, giving the few bob to the mother or father.
Oh yeah, oh God, oh yeah. Because my mother's, my father was dead at that time. Oh, mercy. And my mother was going around doing housework. And my brothers or son were still in school when I was there.
Were you the eldest?
I was, yes. Then I done so many years at that, and I think it was around 59, a new machine came in the printing shop, and I asked my boss, Paddy Lord, I asked him about it. Would my brother have a chance of it if he applied for it? He wasn't in the pottery. And he says, why don't you apply yourself? So I did, and we ended up getting the job on it. I was the first to start on this Murry print machine. It was a special machine that came in, and I was trained on that. And it was mostly for willow plates now, and willow saucers, all the different size plates and all that up along. And I started printing on that, and that was a valuable machine, because what was done on that was only fired twice. That didn't need a third firing. That's how that worked. It was worked by, the stamp was worked by a gelatine, what they call a gelatine bone. You melt it down into different molds, the size you wanted. And that went.
How was it done before that?
It was done on a big roller in the printing shop, and it come out on a paper, big roll of paper to print. The scissors then and cut that off, and they'd have to put that on to the plate, but that was on a glass plate, and then they'd come along and that would settle down to the have it dried out on it, and go to the have to wash the paper off, then it goes on to be glazed and finished off. And that's how that worked. There was a lot more work in it with the paper thing than what I was doing.
And how did this new Murry machine, how did that change things?
Pardon?
How did the new machine change things?
That's how it's changed, because what you done on that only was fired twice, and what the girls had to do, they had to be fired a third time. So it created a lot more work.
So you went from the floor where you were carrying boards up to the decorations.
That's right, yeah.
But I want to ask you a question, John. You said there were 7 makers, were there?
Yeah.
Was that a set number, or did it change?
No, they were there on that side all the time. Them makers. There was 3 sides. There was what they call a cup side. That was different, separate from us. We weren't involved with that. Then there was another place over what they call the castle shop, and they were when there was 5 makers over there. They made the bigger plates, the big plates, the larger plates. That's probably the biggest one that was made on the side I was on. Would have been probably a 7 or 8 inch plate. That would be the biggest. There could be bigger ones made in the other place or there, that way. But the odd time I could be in the castle shop with the batten on, if somebody was out replacing somebody.
And can you remember any of the makers' names?
I do, yeah. The first one is Jim MacDonald, Mike O'Neill, Georgie Brennan, Martin Malloy, Mickey Riley, Charlie Malloy, Jim Hurley, and Ned Roach. And Ned was the leader. Ned, there was something in Ned when he done. He came when you were changing from, say you were making saucers, or even when you were starting to make saucers, Neddy had to come up and pass it. He had to judge it. He had a little penknife. He make the first one, and he had a little penknife. He just cut across the middle and took that up. He was able to judge without no measuring or having the depth that should be. He done that every maker, any time there was changing, and he through that he judged it.
And the makers were all hand thrown, these, weren't they?
So they were all, making, there's what they call a jigger. There's a tool, a special tool, a blade, kind of a blade on it. It would come down the shape of whatever you were making. Because you'd be changing them tools from time to time when you'd be switching from a different sized blade or something like that. And the man that looked after them blades was a man by the name of Paddy Lipset. He was a fitter. And he, after a certain time, they will kind of get blunt, and he'd take it to the workshop and smooth them off, shine them up again. That's,
And were there certain makers that were better than other makers?
well, it's just, they're all the same. The only thing is, some makers would be making the bigger stuff that would be classed as better. But not much, like there's not much. It's just whatever you're started on, you're kind of left on it. Like, you know, there's very little change like that. You know, that's the way I've worked. Them now.
And you'd be going all day.
Oh yeah.
There wouldn't be a spare minute.
Yeah, no, you just get time to go to the toilet. And, no, that's what I say, you had to make, to help the maker to make his wages. That's what you were doing. And it was never a question about it.
So he was on by piece, paid by piece.
Yeah. He had to make so many dozen to make his wages.
How many dozen a day would he make?
God, I don't know, I forget now. I couldn't tell you. But he'd be making a lot nowadays. You know, he'd be filling a trolley really, it'd be going into the steam room.
And
they'd be in overnight.
The place was so big that you wouldn't really know the other makers in the other.
I'd know the makers in the other places. I'd know them all right. You know. We'd meet up now and again, like, you know. But they wouldn't have much time, time for chatting and going around from one side to the other or anything like that. You know, it's just all go.
So as the years went on, was the lorry still picking you up, bringing you back and forward?
When I was going up to the time, I was still going up to 63 because I don't know how long, because I finished on the lorry in 63 because I got married in 63 and I met my wife in pottery.
And what was her name?
Nellie Nolan.
Nellie Nolan.
She's dead.
I'm sorry to hear that. Where was Nellie from?
She was from the Sea Road. There was a big family. Had another sister working in the pottery. She worked close to me where she was in they call it the dipping house where the glaze was.
And Nellie worked in the dipping house
Nellie,
as well?
No, Nellie was in the decorating department. She was in that one job in the decorating.
Are there any photographs surviving of Nellie and like yourselves working?
The one with was me and Jim Hurley, that's going around. There's actually in Bridgewater with the Arklow Pottery stuff down on the bottom shelf. It's there. It's going around for years. And I don't know where I have them. I don't know where Nellie had them in the house because there was photographs. I was looking at them and I couldn't find them.
And when did Nellie stop working in the factory?
She stopped when the first baby was born.
When was your first baby born?
It's 64, and that was, we lost it. Stillborn.
God, I'm sorry to hear that.
Lost two, I lost another one. So it would have been the youngest of the family.
That was tough going on you.
Had a hole in the heart.
Absolutely. She carried that
I have 2 daughters and a son.
Good man.
Yeah.
So Nelly never went back.
No, she did go back for a while there later on in years, and they were all grown up. She went for a while, then she stopped.
Were there many men like yourselves and women like Nelly? Did you meet their husbands and wives on the pottery?
I did. Oh, I did. Oh, there was a lot. Oh, God. A lot of people now met up. I had bought a car, that's how I come to start. I bought a car, one of the odd Ford Poplar, and they asked me to, 3 or 4 of the girls asked me, would I bring them to a dance? And Nelly was among them. And I went to a dance in Glenailey, and that's where I started. I started then after that. That was around 60. I married in 63.
And you treat, apart from the two that passed away, you had 3 children that lived.
Pardon?
You had 3 children that lived.
3 children that lived, yeah.
Lived, yeah.
They were married and all grandchildren, great-grandchildren.
And when did Nelly pass away?
In 2020.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, she got a bad stroke in 2015. She lost the use of the side, she was in the nursing home, but she had her everything. She was able to manage, and she couldn't walk, of course, but she could use television and radio, and she followed everything up to the time she died, the soaps and all.
And tell me this, did many is stay in contact with old workers after you've left the factory?
No, not. We haven't really. We haven't, no. No, because when I left the factory in 66, NET, fertiliser factory started, and of course it was getting itchy feet because of the wages they were talking about. And actually when I started, I got a job in it, and when I started I was training for a month or something, but I was £2 less than my wages in the pottery when I started, with the flat rate and the vert was £2 less than what I was earning. I was on piecework on the Murry Machine, so I was making £2 more a week. I was wondering whether I done right or wrong. But then when you went on shift, you see, you got the shift rate, and that's why you got the extra money.
So it was piecework on the Murry Machine?
It was, yeah. There was a girl who used to be on with me. She'd be putting on the 3 stills on every plate, the print, and she'd take that off and I'd be putting on the other plate then, and the machine would go back up and print, come back, and she'd take it off and I'd put the plate on. And there was 3 little finger lads who used to put it centre on the machine would go in, and the gelatine ball would come down and stamp it. And then there's a little track at the end used to come, and the plates and whatever, you had the blade that used to come back along and scrap it, you used to have to take it off every now and again, because it used to wear and rub it with a file and get it going again.
And when did you move then? You went from the boards up to up to the
print
print run drum.
to the Murray Machine.
Murry Machine, yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
And there was more money, I'd say. Was it a step up? Was it?
Not really. I just got the rate. If there was rises came, I had the same as it would be everywhere in Watford. And was when I got the extra money was when I went on piecework. And I ended up getting more money that way. So it all depended on how much I done.
And what would you do today? How many would you do? Prints?
Prints?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how many. You'd be doing several boxes. Oh, I don't know, many dozen. It all depends on what to be on to. And then if what happened was if I had to change from one item plate to a different size plate or something like that, I had to change the machine. You'd be losing time that way. But you were paid on the whatever you were on.
And was there a supervisor going around counting yours at the end of the day?
Peter Tolan was my boss, and then Frank Badley was the man. And then Frank was really because we dealt a lot with Stoke-on-Trent for the colour that we were using. And it was through him we used to get orders, whatever we needed for the machine. But Peter Toll, now he was the boss in the printing shop, and he looked after me, give me the orders, whatever I want, whatever I was to do. And I used to switch then sometimes there into where the print shop was, and there was a roller with a smaller stamp, kind of like the Bridge Hotel, the Bay Hotel, or God, all over the country, hotel stamps. And they're a little small plate, and there's a big roller, this little steel plate, they put the colour on, scrape it, put a piece of paper on, and let out the roller, then we get back and take it off and put it in a box. The girls come, take that, they put it on onto the whatever cup, toss or whatever, and then they go to the sink after a while, then they wash the paper off.
So you were doing big numbers for hotels and places like that?
It was, yeah. Big orders, Yeah, but sometimes if a fella was out in there, I could be in there for a while to help them out. That was another place I went, Engraving shop, with spraying. I done some work in that as well.
Was that spraying on?
Spraying, different colours and all down in an Engraving shop.
And what were you working there? Were you working on cups and saucers or special pieces?
You could be working on ornament things or something. You could be spraying different colours on them in different ways. I was only there. The Murry Machine with the print was where I was going most. I was just doing relief work or something like that.
And the stamps that you were talking about, so you'd have special stamps made up then for
the plates, the plates are different plates, and they're nobody else that can't be sold to anybody else than hotelware or and we go with a set going out to the hotels or anything like that. That's their stamp. Whatever that's on, they can't go anyone else.
Did you enjoy doing the work?
Oh, I did. Oh God, I did. I enjoyed everywhere I worked. Yeah. Well, there was always a crack going on. It was great, great camaraderie. No, great people.
And was there a kind of a heyday with the factory, or with the pottery?
Pardon?
Was there a kind of a heyday? Was there a kind of a period when I was absolutely flying it? Or can you remember?
It was at that time. The pottery took on, that was one thing about the pottery. It employed always people every summer. It always took people from school in every summer. There was girls now, most of the girls used to go for a time to the tech after their school, and they go in, they used to do the training for whatever they were going to do in the factory, and they'd be taken on after their year or whatever they'd done. That was something the pottery always done, always, how many years, great.
And were there more men or women working there?
It was more or less equal, you know. There was men. There probably might have been more men, but there would have been more men, I'd say. But there's a lot of women, and they're all over the place. Because there was women doing the toe and women doing all the handling and handles on it, everything, all that stuff. And then they're decorating and all that. There was a big crowd over there in the decorating shop, a big place.
What would people have done if the pottery wasn't in the town? Where would have went for work?
I don't know. There was nowhere really. There were small factories at that time. The paint factory. I don't know whether there was ladies in it or not. And what they called a brook factory. They used to make the bricks and all. That would have been all men. But there wasn't anything like for ladies. Type jobs like the pottery, not around like that.
Would it have changed the lives of women?
I got it would. I suppose, yeah. I suppose they've got a living out of it for years. Would they? Very good.
And did you see generations of people working in it? Fathers, sons?
That's
all?
right, yeah. Yeah, I did, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you remember any of the older people that worked in it back in the 30s? Would you have known any of them? Back in
There'd be some of them makers. They wouldn't be young lads. There were a lot of them makers. There's a lot of them now would have been like they would have been back close to it, and then there's Killmen. They were fairly hard. One particular Killman, Dan Malloy, Norbert. He's something. He's history. Yeah, he's history. He finished his work every day, and there was a little locker he used to come to, and he'd take his cap off, he'd take his cap off, he hadn't a stem of hair, and he'd take the comb out, and he'd start going. This was him. Every day he done it, and it was priceless. And he'd just take the comb the hair back into nothing there. But he'd done it for a crack every day.
Tell me this, would you be able to remember any of those old timers that were there?
He would have been an old timer. Then there was Jim Keeley, Joey Keeley, Billy Doyle, Ned Doyle, they were all Kill men. The youngest man there was Sean Keel. He would have been younger than that. And they would have been hardly when I was a young lad there.
And did the way the Murry Machine changed your job a bit, did the development then from the oil-fired kilns change as well to the gas-fired kilns?
Yeah, it was changed. Kilns, I had a trolley type thing then going to the kilns. That's the old shelf thing. The killmen would have been transferred onto that job. Then the bottle kilns were done away with it eventually after years. In the bottle kiln, there was no such thing as a digger or anything to take them down. There was a put ladder up the outside, steel rod into the bricks, up along, and put his hooking his ladder on. And they got to the top, and he'd be up that every day with his hammer, taking down brick for brick. That's how they were taken down.
Those big three
Bottle kilns.
bottle kilns were taken down brick for brick.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. That's how they were taken down.
And then the new kilns fitted in.
Yeah. Call them Dreslers then. So big change around.
Did you see any change to the town when the pottery stopped?
Oh, it would have been. In the pottery days, we quite a lot of people on bikes, bicycles, and they'd be coming into the town, and you could leave your bike. You always had a spot to leave your bike, never be touched or anything, never. That's where people used to meet up and everything, but that was something at that time. And when there was a crowd that used to come up the road walking out of the pottery. That's quite now. I don't know many. I think there was around 700-800 at one time in the pottery. Yeah, huge crowd. There was a huge crowd in the pottery.
700 or 800.
That was a big crowd. Yeah.
Would you have noticed a difference in, say, Gorey, for example? Was there more money in Arklow, or was there more money in Gorey back then? Or was there any difference at all?
Whatever, I don't know what it is, but shopping, same as Gorey, and to this day it's still the same, isn't it? You know, Gorey is same as the shopping place at that time. But there was a lot of shops in Arklow at the pottery time, and you know, everyone would be going to the shops to get. That everyone would have their shop to know where to go, and all that.
And was there a kind of a social place where all the workers would go? Was there a particular bar or a dance?
Well, we had a dance, the pottery staff dance. Every Christmas there was a pottery staff dance. And then there was different dances at our times we'd have. But the pottery staff dance was a big thing. Halloween, that was great crack. There was always a dance for Halloween. And the Mayfair and the Armagh dance hall, the Darwin dance hall.
And would you dress up in a wizard on Halloween night?
Oh yeah, if you didn't go dressed up, you were going to look out. Yeah, I tell you that. You could be dancing with anyone. You don't know who would be. Oh, that's why you'd suffer that night.
And that was the Mayfair, was it?
In the Mayfair, and then the Mayfair was burnt, had a fire in it and burnt down, and the Ormond Ballroom then was so on.
And where was the Mayfair located?
It was up just above the railway bridge where Jack Walker is. Jack Walker's place now is a snooker place, and that's where the Ormond was. I was actually in the night class in the tech, and that went up on fire. Don't know what happened.
And where were I won't keep you too much longer, and the different people that worked, where would they have come from?
Came from everywhere, like out the country, like, you know, and the town. They would have come from all around the surrounding area. They would have come, but a big crowd from Galway. But it was around families from all around the country.
And were there many people from other counties here? From Galway or Mayo or any of those counties?
No, not. Now, Paddy Laverty, he came. Len Porter was the man in the clay end when I started. And the manager was J.P. Halpenny. Changed then Paddy Laverty. He was after Len Porter. And Teddy O'Brien now was a man. He's still around, Teddy. Teddy he had gone to college and everything. And he's for technical stuff now with the clay end now, because he spent a lot of time in the clay end. He would know a lot. He lives on the Vale Road.
And were there many people, say, were there any workers maybe from England or from France or from Germany? Or
No, not in my time. It was 66 I left.
Do you look back with any regret at the time you spent in
God, I don't. No. I don't know. Well, I don't know what it was with me. I left a good job in the pottery, and I worked in the Fert from 66 to 81, and I left the Fert because there was redundancies, there was plants starting to shut down, so I thought I started, and I left, and I had a great time in the Fert as well. I enjoyed every bit of it. Then I got a job, I finished my time then with the council. I got a job with the council. I worked there till I retired. 65. That was. But the pottery was so it was a great camaraderie at the class.
Lovely. Thanks a million, John, for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. It was lovely to listen to you.
Was it alright?
Absolutely lovely.